The rabbit makes history as kids vote to give him a bowl of delicious fruit-flavored Trix.
Trix are finally mine as part of this good, nutritious breakfast. Now that I have delicious fruit-flavored Trix, I vote to eat them!
Silly rabbit, you ate all your Trix.
Huh? All gone?
Once again, Trix are for kids. I guess it's back to disguises for you.
Not funny.
Hey everyone and welcome to 20th Century Popcast. Wow, that was harsh, that was rough. My name is Tim Blevins, and I don't think I'm prepared. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm actually working off any script other than the imagined script of he's gonna fly by the cuffs of his Christian Slater pants. He's gonna pump up the volume, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna grab the mic. He's going to speak some truth. He's going to live up to whatever pop song he decided to pirate radio onto his podcast of an audience of 7 people, none of whom work for any major recording label. So it's not like you're going to report that I'm using this music, right? And I'm not making money off the music. I'm not making money off this pop culture. I'm using it to maybe somehow generate a sensation or create a feeling or somehow express a mood internally that you can connect with, because these words are probably not doing it. Ho! That first ho was very fake. The exhaustion that maybe is coming through, the anxiety and the rapid fire disc. Yeah, I need to take a breath and stop playing around with this microphone, because you might be hearing some clicking from me. Playing with the mic. Well, thanks for sticking through that. Well, look, hi, all of you, all the time, any of you, at some point, each of you, and it's each, I can count it because the numbers aren't huge, but hello to those of you who listen. I listen to this show. What show? 20th Century Pop. A normally weekly podcast where we try to understand the present while living in the past. Like I said at that start, and as you know, because if you're listening to this, chances are you know me, my name is Tim Blevins. And I'm sipping some hot water from a non-pop culture mug for once. Normally it's Star Wars, Gem and the Holograms, John Constantine, Wonder Woman. It's emblazoned with some cartoon illustration. This is a mug that says catfinated, and it's got a picture of a cat with its mouth open. Welcome to this week's show. It's been 2 weeks, right? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. We did a Halloween episode. We missed last week. We're also missing my co-host, Robert Canning. Robert Canning is not here. Strangely, I will be talking to him, and we'll be recording an episode later tonight for next week. So the show will return in form next week. I'm doing this now. I'm doing this week, this moment, this manic moment here on the microphone. I'm apologizing before anything else, because I may not be giving you anything today worth listening to. If you are listening, thank you for making it this far. I'm going to assume there's a reason. Okay, there's a reason that you're making it this far, so far, into the show, and I think I appreciate that. I think I might know what it is. I think I might get it, or maybe not. Look, I do a podcast with Bob. We do this podcast, and it started off as a way, I thought, Bob and I, to talk about pop culture of the past, to revisit pop culture of the past, and just talk about it with modern eyes. And I thought that would be the show. And the show has actually grown into something. The show has actually evolved. It's become something. And I don't know if that's the show. I don't know if that's the topic. I don't know if that's just the nature of doing a podcast week to week. I assume some of you who listen also do podcasts, or at least listen to other podcasts. So, it's a narrative structure. People talk, ramble on, blah, blah, blah. And if you do that enough into a microphone, and if you're doing it with someone, which is what I do, one of my only outlets of communicating with friends, is recording this fucking show with Bob on the microphone. I guess if you do that, week after week, and you actually have the capacity to listen to it, to rework it, to edit it, to present it, when you're turning any interaction that's sincere, Bob and I are sincere friends, into a weekly program, probing something important to you, in this case, pop culture of the 80s and 90s, when you do that enough, it's got to mean something. You start to see something, or you feel something, or you start to, plot little pieces together about why. Why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? I can't speak for Bob. And, this show, which I thought would be a little bit about, how the pop culture made us, is probably what ultimately I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're hearing that. My phone, I keep getting these text messages in. Let me turn this off. Sorry. This is very unprofessional. There we go. Jeez. Talk about unprofessional this episode. But, yeah. Why am I so frantic here? Look, I don't think I'm giving you much of a topic in terms of today we're talking about Cool World, or, today we're looking back on those muscle figurines, or, let's talk about the Pac-Man Fever album. I guess we're not doing any of that today. I'm not doing any of that today. I'm doing this as sort of a way to unload, to get some thoughts out. And there's nothing saying you, the listener, have to stick with it. But if you're here 6 minutes and then whatever the added time of the music at the beginning in to this, you're I think you're either hoping that someone me isn't having a breakdown on a microphone and putting it out there for subscribers, or two, you're in pursuit of something, right? You think a conversation like this for an hour, a discussion for an hour, a thought about pop culture for an hour, you're thinking like I think that it matters. And I think it means something to you because this isn't just a show of remember when there was a wizard who promoted Cookie Crisp. This is a show, a discussion. When it's Bob and I, it's a discussion. And when it's me, it's this. Rambling. Recording this, by the way, on election night, actually. So Tuesday. Super Tuesday? Is that what it's called? I don't know, but I voted. I voted about an hour ago. And now I'm coming to this microphone. So maybe I'm a little distracted by the fact that tonight could render any illusions we have that we're still a great democratic nation. Could render it a lie and tear us apart as the anger and hate of a Nazi leader. Takes another step, or maybe people are saying something. Maybe everyone who's insulted, which is everyone but white men, and should also, by the way, be white men. Maybe everyone's going out to make a difference, talk it up, make a change. Look, I'm not. This isn't political. We're not political. It's not a political show. I'm rambling and ranting because I'm a little out of sorts. Because we do this show. Bob and I do this show about pop culture, and High Hopes thought it was going to be something. Like I was saying, it's not just a Remember When show. It's supposedly a discussion and an exploration on the meanings and importance of popular culture from our childhood. It's not meant to be arbitrary. We have the designation of it's something that falls between 1975, specifically October 2nd, 1975, because I believe that's the starting date of Bob's birthday, to 1999. I guess we can go to New Year's Eve, 1999. Anything within that realm. And we were doing it on a schedule for a while. We were doing it every week. We were putting it out, and I was excited. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. And I listened to a lot of podcasts. So I listened to other podcasts about pop culture, Battle of the Network shows, Canceled Too Soon. How did this get made? The Weekly Planet. These are just a few things on the playlists of my iPod that I listen to that explore similar topics. And I made the mistake. I made an error. I thought that, I want to be, I thought, I'm listening to these shows, hundreds, if not thousands of people listen to those shows. It must be the same for me, right? We must have something to say and we must be reaching out and reaching an audience. And you know, our numbers, when you look at the numbers of this show, they're low. You know, when you look at the numbers of how we can track people listening this through Libsyn counting and then through Facebook posts, the numbers are low. It's not, I thought it would grow. You know, I thought we were growing a fan base, and I was caught up in this idea of, you know, we're going to become a go-to show for intellectual talking about pop culture. We're going to have an angle. People are going to listen to this, and we're going to stand out from these other shows. And, you know, that's arrogant. That's self-absorbed. That's thinking about being a character. And I guess that's what a lot of podcasters do. You're a character to a degree. You want to be known as a character. You have bits. You know, I'm talking about how the show goes on every week. If you're a podcaster of any level, because the nice aspect of this medium is you can do it from your home and say you're doing it. As long as you put the effort, time, and thought into it and put it on a schedule, you're podcasting. I think just about every podcaster thinks of themselves as a celebrity in their own head because it's their show. You got a voice going. You think people who tune in and listen hear your personality, hear you for who and how you are. And so you think your jokes are great. You think your expertise is something. You think you're on a pedestal, precipice. You think you're an authority figure somehow. And in reality, these are just conversations that we're having, or in this case, ramblings alone in a house that we're having. And I guess, you know, it's a slap in the face for me to think of it that way because, you know, it's fun to do this. And it means a lot to do this. And I do it every week with Bob, or just about every week. And I guess that inherently is the thing. For a while, we were doing it every week. We missed a week. We missed last week. I think we missed a week earlier in October. I know we missed a week in September. I'm realizing that to do this show, to put it up there, to put it out there, to make it, the cost of time to do it, which you may not be able to tell listening to it, but there's time. Bob and I are on different coasts, so our schedules don't coordinate. There's a 3-hour difference. So when can we record it? We both have our own responsibilities. When can we record it? When can I edit it? When can I get it up for the Thursday that's supposed to be up? All of those issues and all of those elements make it kind of hard to keep up the momentum sometimes, you know, because it's not a profession. I guess it's a hobby. And that's hard because I want it to be more, but I guess it's something we do. It's a little thing we do. And it's important to me, you know, it's vital. Why is this the episode? What is going on, Tim? Are you, it's not changing the world, I guess. This podcast where we question whether or not When Harry Met Sally is misogynistic. It's not altering the planet, this weekly show where we wonder if Linus's mental breakdown and It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, was actually a scathing denouncement of Christian belief. It's not something that people come to hoping to learn and change, you know, the show. Or next week, I think we're talking about gum. Like Hubba Bubba Bubble Gum and Bubblicious Gum and Bonkers, as if it's a topic. I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know if this program and talking about our past is worthwhile to anyone else. Is it just worthwhile to Bob and I because we get to talk? And is it even worthwhile there? Bob has a life. He has things he does. I have a life. I have this microphone I talk into. I guess the show is acting as, you know, an example of the issue of, you know, what does it matter? What is it that's happening? What is a 43-year-old doing with his USB microphone and his slowly dying Mac computer, sitting in a chair on election night, avoiding watching TV coverage with a Dazzler action figure in his hand that he's fidgeting with while looking at a Matchbox Batmobile, name-dropping pop culture from his childhood like it matters? Thinking about how can I work in the title Bastards of Young like it matters. Wanting to make sure you know he's in the Ralph Bakshi with, I think, the second Ralph Bakshi reference of this episode because I recently got a book on Ralph Bakshi and now he's on my mind all the time. What's the point? What's the point? What is this need to indulge the pop culture? To embrace the pop culture? What is it with me that the only thing I've got, the only point of reference I have, the only aspects of things that matter to me, the only way I know of conversing with the world, expressing myself to the world, somehow trying to interact with the world, the only way I can do that is with the toys from childhood, the cartoons that I've watched since childhood, some of the movies, that's not even the main one unless we're talking Star Wars, and the music, because that's where I get to show, look, I grew a little bit, and this is what I listened to when I was in college. Why is that all I've got to connect? Because ultimately, I don't know if that matters. I don't know if those things have weight. I don't know if I should still be decorating my house with these little knickknacks, you know? I don't know if I should be constantly, looking online to find the perfect Autobot coffee mug. I don't know if money should still go into DVDs of 90s unreleased Fantastic Four films that I bought on eBay because I've got to watch it and see it. I don't have the knowledge to talk about the election, I guess, on election night. I went to the polls today. And I went armed with some knowledge on a couple issues that are important to me. The main issue, the one I did understand here in Massachusetts, the ballot that was put up to hopefully maintain and further and protect gay, lesbian, transgender rights from discrimination. I understood that ballot question, and it was a no-brainer. Of course, that's an important issue. I get that. But I didn't know any of the names of the people running. I didn't know many. I know Elizabeth Warren, so of course I'm going to vote for her. But other than that, aren't I just voting for the Democrats on the ticket? Aren't I looking at the names to see which one's a Democrat? I probably voted for one Green Party, Rainbow Party person to show that I had some variety to the anonymous machine that collects these papers. But I'm not researched. I'm not doing the effort needed to understand the importance of every little dot I filled in. I know the grand gestures. I know the wide gestures. But, that it's Democrats versus Republicans, that it's become that it's almost that easy to talk. It's us against them or this against that, left against right, good against evil, right against wrong. And that there's no nuance to that, and there's very little knowledge to that, because you can have your beliefs, which I do. I have some, but I also can hide behind a party. I can assume that just saying, fuck the Republicans, fuck Trump, both fine things to be saying today, by the way, or in general, because, the anger is real and what they're talking about is awful, but I don't have the adult standing to have a conversation about these topics the way I can about the construction and design of the Millennium Falcon, of the fact that there were 3 Cybertronian wars in Cybertron's history, to the reality that GoBots were actually one-time humans who were built into machines. I can talk this bullshit, this crapola. I can tell you, and I can intellectualize it. I can go into talking about how, Pretty in Pink is actually the most realistic representation of high school because of how cruel it is to Ducky, because we never get to date our friends, blah, blah, blah. John Hughes was brilliant, and this is how society works. I can do that bullshit. Maybe it's not bullshit because it's what I feel. It's how I think. And those movies impact us as children. But I haven't made the steps beyond childhood. As a child, I understood cruelty. I understood that human beings were cruel. I understood the grossness of owning a trigger-activated device called a gun. I understood the horrors of nuclear war. I understood the disgust of pushing women out of a pay level. I understood the grossness of assuming anyone who was gay was horribly different. I understood the inhumanity of that. Some of that probably came from comic books, but some of it is just basic human decency. But the steps of how humans work as they get older, the complexities that come with that, I can't talk that. I can't name drop people who have seats in the Senate unless it's the Senate from the Phantom Menace. And I can tell you some of the names in that. Chancellor Valorum, for example. Masameda. These are made up things. I stood there today at the polls. That's what it is. Or going to the polls. Even before going to the polls, when I let my the activeness of my registered to voteness, that sentence was horribly put together. I was inactive. My voting status was inactive. I voted in the last major presidential election. I didn't fill out the survey that came around this year. That puts you on an inactive list. Fortunately, at least here in the town of Malden, Massachusetts, they make it very easy when you get there to get back on the list. And I did, and I voted, and that's great. I think the fact that I let it lapse says something. I believe that humanity deserves better. But why am I not doing the work to fight for that? Why am I not? I'm outraged, but why am I talking to this USB microphone on this program where you keep wondering, well, when is he going to talk about the TARDIS? Why am I not out? Why wasn't I out there rallying, And rallying isn't putting it up on Facebook, Rallying isn't putting on the I voted sticker on the front of a Trapper Keeper I'm carrying around so people can see the sticker. Rallying isn't talking with my friends who agree and just getting angry. Rallying would be doing something with this knowledge or pursuing the knowledge of how it works, what makes a difference, what makes the world tick like the time bomb it is towards its oncoming doom and destruction at the tiny, greasy orange fingers of a madman and others. Why doesn't my mind and myself work to understand that? And I can fool myself into thinking the pop culture gets me there. I can say that these things, that the Marvel comics I read and what Captain America stands for, or what Superman stands for, or what Wonder Woman stands for, invests in me a feeling. I can say that Optimus Prime staying on Earth when the Autobots and Decepticons crashed here because they brought this war here and it was his job to protect these people. I can say that made me who I am. I can say the comedy of Richard Lewis taught me how to better interact with an eye towards myself, knowing my failures and admitting them to the world so that, I was a false creature and I knew my faults. I can say all of that. And I do on a weekly basis on this show. Well, except for last week, because we didn't have a show. But I don't know if that translates to anything, And I don't know how to translate that to being involved, being active, being politically charged, sure, but also just being humanely outraged. To the point of wanting to learn why is humanity where it's at? How do we regain or obtain the humanity that's missing? Who are the people who can impact that in the structure we live in? Because, we live in a democracy. If you're listening to this show, you live in a democracy. And we can say we don't because it is falling apart. But the fact is it currently still is this democratic nation and a capitalistic nation. And a male-dominated nation. It's all of those things, good and bad. The male-dominated thing, bad. Capitalism, probably bad, but allows for this, so I don't know. I lost my train there. My train of thought. I just, that's, those angles, I guess, those thoughts are enough to make me angry. And should be enough to turn that anger into or from that anger, pull out the concern, which is actually a concern for humanity, selfishly for myself and my own survival. That's always first. And then the ring that spreads out a little further is to the ones I love, my partner. I love her. I want her life to be comfortable. My coworkers, my friends, their children, family, it builds out. But selfishly, it's also me. But I just, knowing that, it does crush me that the inhumanity that is happening, the rights that are being taken away more than anything else. And I do care about the fucking planet. And I know that deforestation, the plastic we use, probably the parts in this computer that I'm recording with, they're killing the planet. I know that. And that's awful. The thing, and that does make me mad, but the thing that really sparks me is the progress that we did make was on, again, a selfish level. It was humanity's progress. And that's selfish. Let's make sure everyone of this creature, this species, is equal. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. It's incredibly important. I'm just saying the steps we took are being taken right back. Not in the bubble I live in here in New England to make it a bigger bubble, but on a whole. And that outrage should push me into action. I should be taking action. And then I wonder, is there a way? I mean, I guess still doing this show, because I'm doing this in the mic and putting up as a show. A week too late, perhaps. How do we do that with the pop culture? Is what I'm wondering. How do I take the comic books and the music I like and the movies I like, and how do I turn that into this human activism, into this fight for really just equality, which will never happen because we all have different ideas and no culture can totally coexist with another culture, but there must be an equality of decency somewhere, I know there are cultures that are based upon the idea of women being lesser than men. I find that awful. Wouldn't equality be women and men are equal? Yes. Will that happen for that culture? That culture would see what I want as unequal. So how do you balance that? I don't know. And I guess when I talk about all this frickin' ephemera that surrounds me, the books, the art books about He-Man and Love and Rockets, the encyclopedia I'm staring at right now of Star Wars, the 3D relief Franklin Mint collector's plate of Batman Catwoman. I look to these things thinking, in this somewhere is the answer. And this somewhere is how humans can learn to have just ground zero decency to each other. Because humans made that art, right? I guess. That's frivolous though, isn't it? I mean, isn't it pointless? Isn't it selfish? And isn't it just, in the end, just a distraction to think that in a comic book I'm going to find the answer? By watching Gem and Hologram cartoons 3 in a row every day, I'm going to find the answer by thinking the innocence of the people who created Catwoman, or the My Little Ponies or Elf Quest or whatever it is you want to look at, but by thinking that putting that art in the world somehow makes the world better. What is talking about that? What is it ultimately to talk about that? Because art's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Pop art, as we call it, is another version of that art. It stretches back. Cave paintings, stage plays, traveling stories, whatever it is. Pop culture is just that. We call it pop culture because it's in the moment and because we live in a capitalistic society that can put a price on it and sell it in a package. The beautiful renderings and drawings and illustrations that somehow come out of the pen, of Mike Magnolia or Terry Moore or the Steve Ditko who passed away. A shout out to a past episode. The dumb fuck, Jesus, Tim. But their work on the pulpy pages of a comic book stapled in the middle and sold for 75 cents, $1.25, whatever it was. That's the capitalistic package. That's how it gets in the hands of the kids. But the work in there is art. So it's art. Art's been around. Art continues to be around. Cartoons are art. Voice work is art. These movies, they're special effects. The songs on the radio, jingles, for crying out loud. There's an art there. So it has that historical, ancient of days precedent of art through humanity. And if we've had art this long, the world's not any better for the baseline decency of humanity. Sure, the artists get some recognition, and the scholars get to look at the art and feel good about themselves. And we resonate with the art. Of course we do. We connect to it. But we do on an individual level, be it a Rothke or an issue of Moon Knight. We're connecting to it on our own individual level. We're not connecting with the hundreds of others. That Comic-Con will do that, sure. Cosplaying does that, sure. But at the heart, it's for us. If we're really connecting for it, it's for us. So inherently, it's selfish. So art is not changing the world. It's impacting an individual. But an individual can't change the world, right? That's why there's political parties. That's why even in monarchies, there's all these little rinky-dink levels of control that build up. There are people in power and groups in power. So an individual's views, I don't know how much of a difference they make. I want to believe they do. And because what I know is this plastic Sharkticon sitting on my desk or the box set of Richard Pryor CDs over in the corner or any of the framed 45 records up on the wall right now. I say any, there's one. It's Who's That Girl by Madonna. I want to believe that because they're up there, the world's changing. Because I'm aware of them and I put them there, I can see them and the world's changing. I want to think that having 2 issues of Dazzler in a frame stare me down, that having a painting from the movie Aliens stare me down, by having a pretty picture of the lead singers from the band X in a frame on top of my CDs right next to a Galactus action figure, that somehow as a mixture will impact me into the world. And it doesn't. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. This pop culture impacts me, but I'm not impacting the world. I'm not going out there with, the lyrical content of Starman by David Bowie and changing the world. I'm not finding the quote that matters most from Clerks and starting a revolution off of it. I'm not turning Billy Joel into, non-secular gospel. I'm reliving these things constantly and trying to figure out why they resonate. And that's a selfish act. I mean, any podcast is a selfish act because we're asking someone to spend half an hour, however long, engaged only in our voice and only in our thoughts. And you chose to do it. I got you there. No, you chose to sit through this with me, and thank you. I'm sorry it's not going anywhere. I'm sorry that it maybe isn't becoming a summation. I think it's odd because it takes massive moments designated by the outside world for me to remember that I have to connect with the outside world. The release of a new Star Wars movie, or, the collection, the reprinted collection of an old comic book I loved, or the group tour of Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, and Salt and Pepper all on the same stage. Those are pop culture things. And I know how to work with those. I know how nostalgia bubbles up, boils over. I know how to revisit those, to engage with those, to throw myself into the past and be able to talk about it with someone and get something out of it. I know that. Totally how it works. Gimmick or not. It's not a trick. It's a practice. Maybe it's a shield, but it's not a trick. It's real. Nostalgia is real. Our interpretation of it might be off, but there's something really happening. But when it's a big event like today, like the election, when it's a big event like a horrible weather attack, not weather attack, Jesus, Tim, like a hurricane. When it's an actual political attack, when it was New York under attack, or when someone becomes president through hate and starts taking away the freedoms of people who came to this country under the delusion that this country was for freedom, those moments, they scare me. And while they should rally me, hit upon me, make me indulge in action the way nostalgia does, I instead retreat to nostalgia. When I get scared with the face of reality, adult reality, meaning the crap that is the world, the shit that is the world. When I'm scared by that, I retreat into nostalgia. Nostalgia is things like Peanuts comic strips. Nostalgia is things like a bowl of Cookie Crisp. Nostalgia is things like pulling out the Screeching Weasel CDs I've got and playing them in a row. That's nostalgia, because there's a safety in the past. Not even how these things necessarily made me feel. It's the fact that they made me feel this in the past. And now that it's in the past, I know that there was more stuff coming. So I can go back to the past when the stuff wasn't here. And I'm not berating pop culture. I'm not going to stop betting myself in it because it's what I have. But I don't know. I wish I knew how to turn the energy I have in embracing nostalgia and the practice and just the mindset it takes to wrap around pop culture, and the time it takes and the energy it takes and the focus it takes. I wish I could maybe apply that, measure that out, and apply that same impact towards the world somehow. Of course, that's silly. But, I wish I had an encyclopedic knowledge on what I had been voting on today. I wish I could rattle off who these people were. I wish I had experienced enough opinions on certain ballot questions that I could have formed my own opinion on those the way I can on horror movies and old television shows and whatnot. I can analyze an episode of The Brady Bunch and come up with a reason why that show made me. But I can't tell you the 3 reasons why I voted no on 1 and yes on 2 and 3 here on the ballot in Malta. I mean, again, I can for 3. The one about fighting for equal rights and ending discrimination against our sexual identities and gender identities. I mean, yes, I totally get that. So maybe that's what I pursue and fight for. And these other things in the world that scare me, maybe I don't fight for those yet. Terrified of guns and then the ease of which people can hold them and the fact that they're out there. And I know that's a black and white mindset to have, that guns are bad, but that's what I have right now. What I should be doing is diving into the politics of it, the laws of it, the numbers of it, not just the one article that comes out so I can say those, the numbers of the percentage. Just really do the research like I have, like my well-versed, well-rounded knowledge of the Marvel universe comes from experiencing their flagship characters, comes from experiencing the new universe, comes from experiencing Star Comics, their cartoons, the toys, all the versions of the Spider-Man movies, old Fantastic Four, different lineups of the X-Men. I immerse myself in all of it so that I could just be a Marvel fan and discuss Marvel. And I should be doing the same fucking thing. Because the reality is as scary as the world is for the X-Men, for Iron Man, for Dazzler. When you read those issues, some shit goes down. Galactus shows up, or the Brood, or that weird, I think they're called dire wraiths that Rom the Space Knight fought. Those are bad. That's bad news in the world of comic books, but there's real bad news in the world of news. And it doesn't serve a narrative purpose. It doesn't serve a narrative purpose. And maybe that's why it's so hard for me to involve myself and educate myself. Because there's not nostalgia in fearing for safety because of some still needing to be reformed gun laws, and it's not nostalgia to fight for equal rights for however someone wants to identify. There's no safety of nostalgia in that. And there almost should be, because this fucking fight has been going on forever. And it's cylindrical because of the dumb pendulum. It all swings back. If the political pendulum always swings from what I thought was an amazing motivational time of Barack Obama into what we have now with just Jabba the Hutt fuck in charge. And if people say it's the pendulum swinging back and forth, then there'll never be any change. If it's always going to go from one extreme to another, then we never land on anything. It's just a gimmick. And we've lost. And it's the worst. It's kind of like if you get a glimpse of good, but go back to the, if you're taking medication to numb some pain, but the pain is always there, you've got to treat the pain some other way. So if you're getting a glimpse of hope and then it just goes to darkness and you're like, well, I'll go back to hope again. Well, then it's going to go back to darkness. There's no victory there. There's no living in the past with world events. The way, excuse me, the way there is with nostalgia. And so I guess I'm just taking today, one, so that we have something to claim as an episode, but two, just to express that look, I'm not going to stop living my life through cartoons. Cartoons are probably the biggest thing to me, and comics are there. Yeah, that's not going to change as I get older. I don't think that's going to change, and I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to do this little doohickey of a show with my good friend Bob most of the time, sometimes by myself, I guess, and put it up. And if 40 of you want to listen, or 41 or 100 or 140, whatever the number is, that's fine. I'll do that for a bit, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you feel because it's a podcast. It's a one-way conversation. I can invite to hear your opinions as a thinly veiled way of promoting my web, the website and my Twitter, but I don't know how you feel. I know that I'm pretty hopeless in terms of the world situation, even though I voted today, and the voting shows an effort of hope, I guess, because if I really thought it was hopeless, I wouldn't have voted. Because it's not fun to vote. But I did. So there's something there. I don't know if it's hope. It's an effort. Because it's going to take more than just a little effort. And I did that effort because it's mandated. Vote. That's what Megan Mullally told me on that Will and Grace commercial. So yeah, vote. But I don't know. There's got to be something, right? I mean, there's got to be something more than just being motivated by when the election comes around. Because tomorrow, depending on the results, I can be all angry or self-righteous based on results. And then it's just going to go back to talking about Daredevil again. And the Silver Surfer. And the unfortunate naming of Boba Fett's ship. And things like that. See, I don't know. I don't know ultimately what this is all about. This particular episode. But I know that I'm not going to... This defeats every step I was probably taking or attempting to take with a realization. I'm not going to abandon nostalgia, like I said, because it is what surrounds me. What do I just throw it out and rebuild myself? No, I should accept at 43. This is part of me. This is how I talk. I'm still going to think Scooby-Doo's a well-made show, even though people my age will tell me it's your memory, not the show. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't fucking mean anything. Most of this doesn't mean anything to anyone else. And you can say it does, like I think it's cute that this is important to you, isn't it adorable that this means something to you, look at you dressing up. But at the heart of it, it only matters to me. And I'm doing a show because I want you to know it matters to me. And that's weird. That's odd. And I guess I'm trying to maybe not push through that, but reach out in that and figure out a way to establish fucking something else. Societal connection, people connection, somehow connect. And not by going to a convention or a Dungeons and Dragons game or, a regular at a comic book store. I don't necessarily think I need to retreat again into the pop culture environment. Those things are great, But I guess what right now on the microphone, I didn't think this was happening. But to you who's listening, thank you who's listening. I want you to know, for selfish reasons, because I'm fearful that you're judging me as someone who's either losing it or trying to be something he's not, or you're like, who should we call to help him? No, I want you to know that it is awful, this planet, and because of the people on it. And I'm one of those people, so I'm awful. But the bad grammar of it, I would be awfuler if I didn't make an effort. That effort isn't just acknowledging it's awful, and that effort isn't pointing out who's worse than me, or even pointing out who I'm worse than. The effort is the trying. And I guess this show is me trying to connect, to reach out, to understand, to communicate. I don't know. But I'm trying. Which doesn't mean anything, really, outside of the moment where I just said it. But there you go. And maybe you are too. That's the thing. Flip it around. Maybe I don't know what the results are when this episode goes up. It's going up on Thursday. The election, and when I'm recording it, was Tuesday, so there'll have been a little buffer in between. Maybe you were floored. Maybe something got launched and we're gone. But if you're where I'm at, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling broken, if you're feeling as if, yes, humanity is the worst and it's just going downhill, like I'm feeling, the fact that we're still in it means we have a responsibility to at least try. Posting on Facebook how much you hate someone, reposting an article and saying, look at this asshole, not my president. Those are things we do, and I get why we do it. There's community to it. That's not trying. The trying is the fact that we're existing and trying to change something. This episode's almost over when it's done. This is in the past, so it's not changing anything, but know that I'm trying. Trying to get beyond just this. And you are too. And that's good. That's good, right? Yeah, I hope I queued some music up. Or forgot to turn off and we're 3/3 through, Exile in Guyville? I don't know what was playing. Thank you for listening to this abruptly started a topic-less episode of 20th Century Pop, which I promise you next week we'll be back to the show as it is. Bob will be back. We'll be talking about something. But thank you for letting me talk about this. Even if no one listens to it, I got to unload a little. But yeah, this show, it's up every week. So you know the drill. You know the basic routine. 20popcast.com is the website. If you want to actually hear some episodes about pop culture, if you go there, there's all the episodes are there. You can listen to past episodes. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, on other Android devices. That way you get a new episode every week when it comes up. And there's links to Facebook and Twitter and all, and you'll find that on the website. But yeah, thank you for listening to the show. We've got a lot of episodes, which makes me think we've done something, we being Bob and I. We must have some sort of an audience because people do listen. Where it goes from here, who knows? But yeah, you're trying. I know you are, because you listen to a podcast. You made a choice. And we listen to them normally in headphones, which means we're doing it for a reason. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Like I just said. Oh my God. I can't even end these when I'm serious. Like a serious ending would be nice right now. Like something, like the one line and then we're out. Something triumphant. Maybe we can cut back in with some news, that with a little bit of news. But no, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to do this little rambling thing until I hit hopefully a joke or a reference, or just that one little turn of phrase with a little bit of a tone. Where you're like, oh, that's a good thing to go out. Go out on that. That. Oh, now you overdid it.